Hello and welcome to Getting New Owners and Keeping Them, one of the toughest jobs a property manager has to perform. Owners are the lifeblood of our organisations. So if we don't get new ones and then once we've got them, keep them, we're going to be in trouble. So I'm your host in this webinar. My name's Hether Bayer. I am the CEO of Cottage Link Rental Management. We are a property management company in Ontario, Canada, and we manage anywhere between 180 and 200 properties on an annual basis, sometimes more, sometimes less, but we try and keep a cap around 200 because that's manageable for the team that we have. But we are continually adding new properties and beginning to shave off those at the bottom that have not been performing too well. So every year we do an annual review of all our properties and we keep most of them, but some will go if they have underperformed in any way, if the owners or if the relationship's not good, This year we lost 2 properties which were lovely homes. But the relationship with the owners was not good. They were not prepared to make some of the changes we asked them to do. And in general, it was not a good match. So we lost those. Unfortunately, we lost those properties. But in their place, we took on half a dozen more. So and now, using some of the strategies and tactics that I'm going to recommend in this webinar, we are collecting a wonderful resource of amazing properties now and some really good owners. So I'm also the co-founder of the Vacation Rental Formula. You will have heard of that. We talk about it on every webinar. I've been in this business for over 25 years, and along with my son Mike, who's been in the business for probably 15 or 16 years as well, and Jason Beaton, who is a digital marketing strategist and expert who joined us a few years ago. We offer all manner of educational resources for professional owners and managers. And of course, I'm the host of the Vacation Rental Success podcast. If you have not yet subscribed to the podcast, don't forget it's completely free. You just go to iTunes, search out Vacation Rental Success, and you can go in there and subscribe and listen to it on your favourite platform. My favourite platform is called Overture. I downloaded it on my phone app, and I listen to podcasts every single day. Just don't listen to mine, but that's for you guys. So in the next 40 minutes, I'm going to be talking about the changing nature of the rental world. You've seen it. We saw it coming. It changes almost daily now. But certainly in terms of property and owner acquisition, there are some massive changes around there that we need to be aware of, and we need to adjust our practices to meet those changes. We'll talk about your unique selling point and why it's important. Why it's so important now in these days of consolidators. And these are the mega companies that I will talk of as we're going through this. And I will tell you 5 keys, 5 ways of attracting new owners. Very simple. Once you have them in place, you do not have to do the work again. You just tweak them. But it's very powerful. And if you do these things, you are going to be way above your competition, because I tell you the majority of property management companies don't do anywhere near enough to attract new owners. And then very briefly at the end, I'm going to talk about some proven methods of keeping those owners once you've got them. I say briefly because I'm in the process of doing yet another webinar specifically on onboarding new owners so that they become owners for life. So every year we go to what's called the Cottage Life Show in Toronto, and it's a show, a big exhibition where every supplier and provider to the cottage industry comes along to show off their products and services. So you can have docks and boats and septic systems and composting toilets and all the marine paraphernalia you can possibly imagine, because all our cottages are on the water. And then there's us. There are a lot of realtors there selling properties on the water, and then the property management companies who are there to encourage owners to work with us to manage their properties. And this is the question we get over and over again. And it started sort of insidiously about 5 years ago when Airbnb began to creep out into our part of the world. What do you do that I can't do myself? Why should I give you 20% of my income when I can go out and do this all myself? And I understand that. Airbnb and HomeAway and the other large listing sites do give owners all the tools that they need to rent out the property themselves. All you have to do, or they tell you, all you have to do is list your property and answer a few questions if the guests have them, and then hand it over to them. They will take the money, send it to you, and then your guests arrive and you deal with it from there on. So yes, I sort of pondered on this question. What do we do that they can't do themselves? And we brainstormed all these things that we could do that owners perhaps don't want to do. So we had to look at, what is our unique selling point? What makes us different? What makes us stand out from the rest? And also, what makes it good value for our owners to give us that percentage of their income in return for us renting the property for them? Now, up front, I want to say that we don't do the property management. So within our company, we don't have cleaners and housekeepers to do the changeovers. We work directly with the owners and with local property managers, local cleaners, cleaning companies to do that. So we are within our commission rate. We're not offering cleaning and changeover. That's going to be extra. What I see many property management companies not doing is creating an owner attraction package. You often see on their website is simply a navigational spot where it says owners, and you click there, and some of them simply have an inquiry form. If you're interested in listing with us, please complete this form. Not going to happen, anymore. You've got to do something more than that, and you've definitely got to do something more than just have a few lines on there, a few bullet points that say, this is what I'm going to do for you. You've got to sell your services. Now, the way to sell your services is to create a complete package, which is what I'm going to talk about in this session. And firstly, it's information presentation, because as soon as somebody comes to your site, they're interested enough to send you an inquiry form, or they've heard of you from somebody else. They want you to send them something that they can read through, that's something that's going to answer their questions on the whole rental process. Remembering, of course, that many new owners have no idea what the process is. So you need some way of breaking it down for them in very simple terms in a sales information presentation. And I'm going to talk through that. Then, of course, there's the web content that you need, which, as I say, is way beyond a few bullet points. Following that, you need to provide some educational material that shows them that you know what you're talking about. Then, having partnerships with other suppliers and providers in your location is immensely valuable. Now, these partnerships could be with real estate agents. It could be with services such as plumbers, electricians, HVAC companies, hot tub repair companies, anybody that goes out to your property and has a relationship with the owners that may come to you, then you need to create some partnerships with them. And then finally, you wrap all this up in a CRM strategy. That's customer relationship management strategy. So these are not independent pieces that work on their own. They all interconnect and present a complete package showing how competent you are and allowing trust to develop between you, the property management company, and your prospective owner. So let's kick off with the information download. Somebody has found you somewhere. They've found you on your website, or they've keyed in property management in a particular area, or that, of course, has been a referral from somebody else. So you want something to send to them that delivers the initial information they want, but your goal is to have that person then contact you and ask you more questions and to get you to go out and have a look at their property and meet with them face to face, because it's that meeting that is going to create the foundation for a relationship, because it is all about relationship. I often say to some of the owners I see, when they say, well, what makes you better than X company down the road? And in many places, you've got hundreds of companies. I know where I am currently while I'm recording this. I'm in Gulf Shores, Alabama. And you drive from Gulf Shores down to Orange Beach, Alabama, and every few meters down the road, there's another vacation rental company. There are a lot of them. So you've got to find your way of saying that you have something that's going to attract them. But quite honestly, you're all probably doing exactly the same thing. And this is what I will tell my prospective owners. I'm not saying I am better than any other company, but when it comes down to it, it's the relationship. If I like you and you like me, and we think we can do great business together, then we should do it. That's the way it's always worked for me. I'm not a super salesy person. I don't like to make promises that I cannot keep, but I want to create that relationship. And usually, I would say 90% of the time, if I can get into somebody's home and talk to them about what we can do, then that usually seals the deal. Occasionally, another company will win out because they are quoting a 1% or 2% less commission. And I am more than happy to lose those potential contracts, because where I come across an owner who is nickel and diming over 1 or 2%, where I know that the quality of what we're delivering is far superior, I'm pretty much happy to let them go. So your information download, 5 things. It's got to be attractive. It's got to look good, not just a simple PDF. You've got to spend time on this and have it designed by a graphic artist and make it look good. So it's going to be easy to read. It's going to answer the key questions that your potential owners will have. And you will have researched those questions. You'll know exactly what you're going to be asked. And these questions are simple things like, what happens if somebody damages something? How do you deal with people arriving early or staying late? What happens if they leave it really untidy? And in our instance, we have some particular issues with garbage collection. We don't have it in cottage country, and where we have some fairly remote properties, we do ask guests to remove their garbage to the local dump at the end of their stay, and that's something that really bothers owners, because they don't want guests to leave garbage outside the property when they leave, because the next thing you know, you've got bears on the deck. So you're going to answer those key questions. The information download states your unique selling point. What is it that you're going to do that the OTAs can't do for them? What is it you're going to do through your vast experience of being in this business that it's going to be tough for them to start off and do themselves? And of course, it should encourage confidence. They should feel good about taking you on board as their property manager. So this, I was going to say this was, currently is the front cover of our information pack. It is a PDF, but we did have it professionally created. And I often go to a property and find that our owners have printed this out. And it looks very good in print. We are moving to a different method of doing this. We're using if you've heard me talking about TouchStay, I have taken the TouchStay platform and I've created a new information pack on TouchStay, and it really is pretty darn good. And for anybody who wants to know more about that, you can connect with me, and I will tell you all about that and it's pretty inexpensive too. But we are including exactly the same stuff in our TouchStay owner information pack as we do in this PDF. So we have a table of contents that lays out exactly what's in it. We talk about ourselves, who are you going to be dealing with? We have a section on to answer that question. And it's about renting with an agency versus doing it yourself. And we make it very clear what the differences are. We talk about how we market the property, how we match guests to each specific place, etc. And here's one page where we talk about valuing our owners. And we say our cottage owners are the glue that binds our organisation. Without you, we would not have a business. We think this is really important to get this across as a unique selling point, because the OTAs, Airbnb, don't treat owners as a property management company does. And we want to get this across, that we have this really solid, warm relationship with our owners and we have their backs. Another one of our unique selling points is screening. Matching guests to a particular property. And this is one of the first questions we're asked by new owners. How do you screen our guests? And even with instant booking, we still screen guests. We have methods of doing this. And we have a whole page that describes what we do. And our owners have often told us that this is why they've come with us, because we have this extensive experience of making sure we're matching guests to their property. And it's actually got even more important now, because with the growth of Airbnb, we are finding that indiscriminate rental is, we call it irresponsible, is becoming not quite the norm, but it's coming more and more common in our cottage rental areas. And people are seeing this on the lakes. It's a bit hard to ignore if a party group arrives at a property, because noise travels across water amazingly well. And this has been a situation that's grown over the years, and local municipalities and lake associations are taking note of it now, and we're having to deal with this. And I know that there is a movement towards municipalities favouring properties that are under management to a professional management company. So this is something that, it's everywhere is different. And I don't know what it's like in your area, but this is what's happening with us. So our owners saying about our information pack, they've said, I loved it. It was so professional. It was well presented. And then this third quote that I absolutely love. This told me you know what you're doing, and it helped me decide that I wanted to work with you. That was perfect. It's exactly what we wanted to get across in this information pack. So you can see how much more superior this is than a single PDF that with some bullet points that says, we'll we answer the phone 24/7, etc., etc. Not to say that that's not important, and that is one of our unique selling points, that we do answer the phone 24/7. We employ a telephone answering company, a local one, and they've been working with us for 17 years. So they answer the phone all hours of the day and night if we can't do it in the office, because we never have any call going to voicemail. And they answer with our company name. And if they can't ask a question from the scripts that they have, then they just say, I can't answer that at the moment. I'll get someone to call you back. And if it's an emergency in the middle of the night, then they will page us. Otherwise, they do get calls at 3 o'clock in the morning from somebody who's on shift somewhere and who has decided to look at a property and they want to know if it's got a blender. And they will have that information to hand. And if they haven't, they'll simply say, somebody's going to call you back in the morning if that's okay. But the fact that every single call is answered by a person is another unique selling point. So you make a list of all those USPs that you have, and it's surprising once you start making that list how much more valuable you become to owners who are thinking of using a management company over and above doing it themselves. So I mentioned at the outset here about web content, and I see so many sites. Often I'll go, well, in fact, every property management company site I go onto, I always go and look at their owner page. What is it that is standing them out from the rest if a potential owner is looking at half a dozen different companies? Is it just one single page with a few bullet points and a contact form, or is it something that makes you different? So I like the idea of having a welcome page, something that tells owners what makes you different and has a lot of other helpful information and resources. This is on our older website, and we are currently updating our website, so it's going to change. But we will probably still include this particular page, which is here's 7 reasons you should choose us. And we list all those 7 reasons, the fact that we've been in business since 2003, so we have been in business a long time. We know our stuff, and we do capitalize on the fact that I have written a book on renting out a property, and that I host a podcast, and that I also speak internationally on the topic of vacation rentals. So we sort of know our stuff. There's a lot of new property management companies popping up, and clearly we want to compete with them. So we are very clear on the fact that we have a lot of experience in this business. And we say we've been there, done that. I've owned 7 properties. So that's something really important, that if you've owned your own places and you've rented them out, that relates you to your prospective owners. You've been there, done that. You've been in their shoes and you understand what is involved and the things that people might encounter. So we also have a lot of education on our site. We talk about how you rent your cottage, how we market it, how we manage your rentals. Once again, this is a little bit old from an old website, and we are moving once again to TouchStay. And we are going to be including all our educational material on our TouchStay Owners Information Manual. But within that, we are educating our owners. So we provide resources and checklists and articles and templates for a cottage welcome book or a cottage guide, a home guide. So we have a number of these things freely available to owners before they register with us. But we also have a lot more that we let the owners know are available once they have registered. So we're going to hold things in abeyance so that they can see that there's some really valuable content that we're giving them now, but there's a ton more valuable content that they're going to get if they register their property. So we were using Freshdesk. Once again, we're moving this all to the TouchStay welcome book, but it's the same things that are in there. So we have a knowledge base. So we tell potential owners generally about the booking process, how we manage damage. We have some documents in there that their rental agreement and the rental agreement that we sign on their behalf with guests. So there's a lot of general things. And then these are the parts that are, as I say, held in abeyance until they register. So basically, they get a couple of checklists, a basic supplies checklist and a sample checkout list when they ask for information. But we also show them what they're going to get. It's a little bit like a carrot. We show them what they're going to get when they actually register with us. So we have information on setting up for rental, the types of bed linens to buy, how to prepare the rental. We talk about technology and entertainment and what's important, internet connections, how important that is and what they should buy. And then just about everything that an owner would need to know, we give them once they register. And we have had, this has allowed us, in fact, to register a lot of owners who were just on the cusp of going and doing it themselves but didn't know how. And the way I explain to them is, look, why don't you register with us for the first year or maybe the first 2 years while you find your feet and you can figure out what's entailed and what to do. After that, you just, we don't hold you to anything. The only thing is that once you leave us and go off on your own, you lose access to all the educational material. But that's fine, I usually say, because you'll know it all by then. Well, of course they don't. And we actually have only ever had one owner leave us to go do it themselves after we've been managing the property. So there's a big success in there. Okay, so that's the first couple of parts of your information, your owner attraction package. Then we get to partnerships, because you want to get new owners. And what we've been talking about really is people randomly coming to your website and getting information. But you want to partner with suppliers and providers who are going to send these prospects your way. They're out there being your sales team, basically. So we work very closely with a number of estate agents or realtors, depending on where you are in the world. And it's very much a quid pro quo situation. We will, if it's a good, and we work only with realtors that we trust and who know this business. Because I don't want to work with realtors who are selling a property based on erroneous information that they think they know about how a rental is valued. So we actually work with realtors. We help them to value their properties for rental. And in return, when somebody's coming to us looking to sell a property or looking to buy one for rental, we will send them to those realtors. And these relationships we've built up over time, and they are incredibly valuable, because if you're in a place where there's a lot of second homes for sale, you can't go wrong with having a really good realtor on your side who is going to recommend you. We work with insurance agents as well. We have a couple of insurance agents that we recommend wholeheartedly, and they in turn like their clients to work with professional management companies. So although they tend not to refer to a specific rental management company, that's in Ontario anyway, they're not able to do that. They will give a list of PMs in the area, and the professional ones are going to be on it. So if you know of cleaning and maintenance companies, if you don't supply cleaning and maintenance yourself, then let's say you've got some cleaning and maintenance companies going into your other properties. You furnish your cleaners and contractors, the plumbers, electricians, HVAC people, swimming pool repair people. They all have your business card, and they are all encouraged to leave your business card with anybody else that they might go and see, who maybe gets into conversation with them and talks about renting out their property, and then they're given our business card. And it's amazing how many referrals have come from those groups. So pulling it all together is your customer relationship management strategy, your CRM. Because now you've got all this information, you need to get it out to your owners. Not only that, you need to have a follow-up sequence. There is just no use whatsoever in getting an inquiry that says, I'd love to hear more about your property management company, and you say, here's my amazing attraction package, here's my lovely information package that I've had professionally presented and designed, and I'd love you to take a look at this and let me know what you think. And then nothing. You don't follow it up. And I know this because for years we did not do that. So it's easy to set up an email automation sequence. Well, of course, I say it's easy, depending on making sure that you are using some email automation platform. I mean, we use ActiveCampaign, and what we can do is, as soon as we get an email or a contact form asking us for the information, then a sequence starts up. So they get the first information, and 24 hours later they get another email that says, hope you had that, do you have any questions for us? If they don't answer within the next 3 days, they get another email, and another one about a week later. After that, it goes into if they haven't responded, it goes into another funnel, which then starts to drip feed them other information. They might not be ready to talk to us yet, but we don't want them to go off the radar. So we have it's what we call the dripping tap strategy. Every couple of weeks, we send them more information on how to rent out your property. And it's nothing to do with how great we are as a property management company. It's about how you can do it better. I mean, they might have decided to go off and do it themselves, but we're still going to send information on what are the best bed linens to use, what pillows should you buy. Here's a checklist on basic supplies, etc. And when we haven't heard from, within 6 months, if we haven't heard from them, they will be archived, and we will probably contact them once again the following year. They may still be looking. But you know what usually happens over the course of the sequence is that they will come back with a question. And once you've got that question and you can get back to them on a personal level, and we do no obligation visits, we'll drive 3 or 4 hours to go out to a property to sit with the owner and to talk through all their questions. And as I said earlier, once I've got those, once I've got that connection with an owner, then more often than not, we're able to move them on to the next stage. So we do regular newsletters as well, which just talks actually about the general nature of rental in our location. There's different areas where regulation and legislation issues pop up. So we will talk about those. And we might cover a specific topic like, how do you manage campfires? How do you manage guests starting and lighting campfires when there's campfire bans in effect? Because that's something that comes up a lot in our hot, dry summers. And we've had some rental guests being fined $1,000 But what also happens is that if a rental guest has lit a campfire during a campfire ban, that the owner also gets dinged too. So we cover things like that. And then as part of our CRM strategy, we've created a number of lead magnets or lead generation materials. One of them is called 10 Things to Create a Successful Cottage Rental Business. And this was a really easy one to produce. We came up with 10 things. And one of them was install Wi-Fi. I mean, Wi-Fi has not been as readily accessible in our part of the world as it is in others. So owners have been a little bit backward in coming forward in installing this. But we now tell them that they need to do the research in their area. We will help them. But you need to get Wi-Fi. And secondly, 70% of cottage guests want to bring a dog. So we talk about being pet friendly. And a couple of the other things are that you can't see there are making the bedrooms look amazing, because that's a little bit about staging. And then there's another one about creating chef-friendly kitchens. So as you can see from this is no more than 2 sentences. And this lead magnet is just produced on 2 sides of paper, produced as a PDF, but it's just one of the lead generation or part of the lead generation information that we have a collection of that we send to guests, send to owners. And it shows that we are professional, that we know what their pain points are, we know what the guest pain points are, and how owners can deal with them. So some lead magnet ideas. You could do a video on equipping a kitchen that guests will love. You could do a basic supplies list or a list of essential items to supply. We used to do a template for creating a welcome book. We now do all our guest guides on TouchStay, so that's not as relevant anymore. But we also, for owners who perhaps would like to do that, we still have that template that we could send out to them. And we have another how-to guide for setting up a rental property. So that's several pages actually, but it really covers everything that they need to do to make a successful rental out of their home. Now you could say, well, you're giving away the farm here. You're giving away all the information that they need to do it themselves. Absolutely. And I'm quite happy to do that, because I would far prefer independent owners to go out and do this super professionally with the information that we've provided, rather than the business to get a really, really bad name because people are going out and doing this indiscriminately without the education. Because they're going to come to you as a property management company if they don't want to do it themselves. If they want to do it themselves, then I see no reason in helping them get there. And they could have friends who are going to rent their properties too, who definitely don't want to do it themselves. So, you're just building this karma, actually. That's the way I like to look at it. So that's it really for the whole getting owners. You've got to deliver to them everything that they're going to need to make a success of it, insofar as they're going to see this and think, these guys really know what they're doing and I want to work with them. That's what it's all about. So, having registered them, and as I mentioned before, I'm going to go through this fairly quickly because the onboarding process is something that we've been working on for the past several years. And I don't say that we've got it perfect. The whole thing is that once you've registered an owner, you don't want to leave them out in the cold. You know what it's like if you've gone out and bought something and you've been listening to a salesperson and they've made you all these promises of all the bells and whistles and it's all going to be fantastic and you've got this warm, fuzzy relationship with the salesperson, and then it sort of abruptly ends when you sign on the dotted line and give up the money, because then you get the onboarding people who in general are still a nice bunch. But I don't know. Maybe I've been through buying property management systems too many times and fallen for the sales process, only to find that the onboarding process is nowhere near as friendly. And I don't know. I just want to make the point that if you want owners for life, you've got to treat them just as well in the onboarding process as you did in the sales process. So we like to give our owners a welcome package once they've registered. Thank you so much. This is really important to us that you trust us enough to let us manage your property. So we give them a number of different resources. They get access to our new Touch Day guide, the information manual. We give them a gift depending on what we found was important to them when we went to do the first visit to the property. So we're not just giving away some relatively inexpensive branded material. We want to make sure that what we give them is something that's of value to them. There's a local company that makes wooden board games for cottages, and for many of our owners, we have given them a gift of one of these board games. And we do have our Cottage Link Rental Management brand on that board game. And it's very discreet, but it is there. We may give them a coal box or a picnic basket type of thing, or a blanket or something for their guests to use. So there's a lot of different things. I mean, we're looking at some form of voice automated system. So we might give them an Echo, an Amazon Echo or Google Home or something like that. Everybody's different. So we choose a valuable gift. And then, of course, we need to do the regular follow-ups. So within all that, so we've got them on board. Now we want to retain them. We don't want them staying one season and then leaving and going to another company. Or staying one season, perhaps, and then going off to do it themselves. So the 3 keys to retaining your owners are communication, not leaving them out in the cold from the moment they've signed up, loyalty and referral incentives. If you're giving them an incentive to refer you to their friends and neighbours, somebody else who might be thinking about renting their property, then you make that valuable, you're more likely to retain them. And then the third one is community, and I'll talk about that in a second. So why do owners quit? Our owners quit often because they sell the property, they move into it permanently. So many of our owners actually have a desire to rent out the property because they bought it for retirement purposes, and then after a few years they move. That's it. They've sold up in the city and they're moving out to the property themselves. So it's quite interesting that we've seen more recently a move with these particular owners who started out, they bought the nice property, they've been renting it for 3 or 4 years, and now they're going to move into it permanently. They have actually got so used to the income, so they actually buy another property. So another reason they quit is that they decide rental's not for them anymore. We had a couple of experiences recently where owners had a bit of a bad time with guests, and they just had an issue with it, which is fine. Some move to another property management company, and that you don't want to happen. You really don't. Or they do it themselves. So that you can't do much about the first two. They sell, they move into the property permanently, or they decide rental's not for them anymore. You may be not going to be convincing them to do it any other way. But moving to another property management company or doing it themselves, there's a whole purpose of retaining your owners is for them not to do this. So, as far as communication is concerned, you need a dedicated point of contact, the same person that's going to create a relationship with them. It may or may not be the salesperson that came along to look at the property at the first place, but you have to make sure that that transition from the sales contact to their general owner liaison is done in a way that makes them feel good about it. They're not just being passed to somebody else, but they are being transferred to somebody who's really going to take care of them. They want regular updates and feedback. We like to do quarterly updates with our owners, but we're always at the end of the phone if they want to connect with us. Personal visits. We do a personal visit every year. We try and meet with them. Sometimes they'll come to an exhibition like the Cottage Life show, and we always make sure that we have a gift for any of our owners that turn up at those shows. And then, of course, we have general newsletters. So we keep in touch with them all the time and let them know what's going on in the industry and within our office. They know everybody in the office. So our loyalty and referral program. If one of our current owners recommends us to another owner, then we will give them perhaps a gift or a voucher. We have some owners that are constantly doing this. They've got a ton of friends, all have cottages, or they're buying them, and we have one owner that's probably referred 6 or 7 different owners to us. So they get a preferred commission rate. Or it could simply be a referral bonus. We have one owner who does the same, refers to us, and he gets a monetary bonus for each one. So if whatever works for you, but set up something in terms of a loyalty and referral program, because that is worth its weight in gold if your owners are out there extolling your virtues and telling everybody how great you are and that they should use you. Because once you have an owner on board, they should be for life until they move on, either sell the property, move into it permanently, or they decide they just don't want to rent anymore. Finally, our community. Some owners don't want any part of community. They, just give me the money. That's all they're really interested in. They just want you to go out, rent their property, and send them the check. That's absolutely fine. And we do keep in touch with them, but we don't necessarily create community with them. But we do have, and this goes to every owner being different and knowing who your owners are. So a community with your owners creates a sense of belonging. So we have a private Facebook group, which is just for our owners. And there's probably 30%, maybe 40% of our owners who are frequently on that Facebook group. And they do make suggestions. They share things that have happened. And what we found as well is that they connect with each other, eventually meeting and making friends. And I love that. We've sort of been a part of growing this community. You might start a forum and allow them to come along and ask their questions in a forum-based group. Not as popular as now as private Facebook groups are, but it's also something worth considering. We've done focus groups before with some of our most involved owners, and we took them for a day into Toronto. We rented a hotel room, we gave them lunch, we did some presentations, we did a lot of roundtable stuff as to, what do you want? What could we do differently? What could we make better for you as an owner? And the owners that came absolutely loved it. They felt so privileged to be chosen, and we gave them tickets to the Cottage Life show. We did it at the same time as the Cottage Life show was on. We gave them tickets, and these are our most loyal owners. And these are the ones that we do interviews with, film the interviews, and then we use them in our owner attraction package. And they become ambassadors for us. They are out there telling everybody how great we are. So have a think about how you could create a sense of community with those of your owners that would like to be involved. So that's it. That is getting new owners and keeping them. I think I've probably only scratched the surface on here. Owner acquisition is becoming a tough thing to do in these days of the OTAs and consolidators. And I said I'd talk about consolidators, but these are the companies like Vacasa, Turnkey, and others that are popping up where you've got this centralized booking service, and owners, and Evolve is another one. They tend to rate cut. They're going to offer owners a commission cut. I don't think they do. I'm sure they do a great job. In certain areas, I'm sure they do a wonderful job. I'm biased. I have a property management company, and I think we do the best job because we are the boots on the ground. And we're also able to really create this community with our owners. That's not possible with the sort of wholesale type of business that the consolidators are running. So it all comes back to creating your unique selling point, creating your USP, sticking to it, and telling your owners all about it. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and please believe me when I say I love to hear your questions. So if you have questions, you can contact me directly. I'm at heather@vacationrentalformula.com. I would love to hear from you. I'm particularly interested in working with new property management companies and making sure that they succeed and perhaps don't make some of the mistakes that I made.